Today we're making these Philly Cheesesteak Calzones. These are perfect for game day. Hi, I'm Tara with Simply Made Eats and welcome to my channel. Today we're doing these Philly Cheesesteak Calzones. They are so yummy. The filling has peppers, onions, steak, cheese, everything you get in a Philly cheesesteak, and it's wrapped up in this calzone, which is baked in the oven. These are so delicious. I'm super excited to share the recipe, so let's get to it. To get started with this recipe, we are gonna first start by unwrapping our store-bought pizza dough. You can definitely use homemade pizza dough here too, but store-bought's just a little bit easier, saves a little bit of time. We're gonna unwrap that, put it in a bowl, and just set this at room temperature. We're also gonna get our oven preheated to 450 degrees. We're also gonna be slicing up a green bell pepper, which you can use like red, yellow, orange, whatever you want for this one. We're also gonna be slicing a onion. I like yellow for this recipe just because it has a little bit of sweetness. Next, we're gonna shred some cheese. I'm using Monterey Jack for this recipe, but you can also do like cheddar, pepper jack, anything you want really. And you wanna mince up 2 cloves of garlic. Now for the fun part, it's time to cook the filling. I'm gonna use a stainless steel skillet. These distribute heat really well, and you wanna make sure you use a large one so you can fit all the filling in. We're gonna get started on the stovetop on medium heat. Next, you wanna add about a tablespoon of olive oil into the pan. Then add in those green peppers and our onion. We're gonna cook these for about 2 minutes just to soften them a little bit. Next, you're gonna add in that shaved steak. I'm using a ribeye shaved steak. You can see like how thin it is. If you buy it like this, it's great. You can also always slice your own, but I recommend this just like it's a little bit easier. You kind of have to pick it apart a little bit just to make sure that it's all cooking evenly. Then add in garlic. We've got garlic powder, salt, pepper, and Worcestershire sauce. I cannot say that. Then just cook it until no longer pink, which is not very long. Now that our filling's done, we're gonna go ahead and get our dough ready. What we're gonna do is just flour a surface. I'm just gonna use like a little handful and just douse this cutting board. You can also just do it on your countertop. Just make sure it's nice and clean. And we're gonna grab that dough. It should be closer to room temperature now. Mine's still a little bit cold, but I'm not too worried about it. We're just gonna sit it right there on our cutting board. And then we're gonna divide this into 4 pieces. I'm using a bench scraper, but you can also just use a knife. And you wanna just make sure they're pretty even. They just make these cute little triangles. These are seriously so good. I actually made them for the first time like a year ago, and I could not believe how good they turned out. They're like one of my favorite recipes. Perfect for game day. If you guys are looking for like a more traditional Philly cheesesteak, I also have a recipe for Blackstone Philly cheesesteaks that are really yummy, and I'll link them in the description too. You also want to line a cookie sheet with some parchment paper. This just makes it easier, it doesn't stick. So as far as like the shaping goes for the calzone, it sounds like intimidating, but I promise it's not. We are just gonna make a circle first from our dough. And if it gets sticky, use more flour, guys. It's like really simple. I like to just like kind of work around the edges so that inside just stretches out. You don't want it too thin because then it won't hold the filling well. But you're just gonna shape this into a circle. Then add about a 1/2 cup of the filling into the center with about 1/4 of the cheese. And then you're gonna use your hands. You really wanna stretch the side of the dough. Just keep stretching it, and then you're gonna fold it over. Then you're gonna use your fingers to pinch this closed to seal it. It's actually pretty easy to work with as long as that dough is room temperature. You're just gonna keep pinching this until it's all sealed. Then you're gonna take that outer edge and you're gonna roll it almost like a little snake on the outside. That way you're not gonna leak any filling out while it's baking. I think the biggest tip that I can give you guys for this is keep everything really floured. You wanna have the dough floured and then your hands, make sure they're floured. It's easiest if you actually make them on the cookie sheet because then you don't have to move them. But just make sure that the parchment paper has flour on it too. Then it's gonna be a lot easier to work with. The last ones always come out the best. It's just like how that goes. And make sure they're really sealed because they will leak out if they're not. Okay, we've got these babies all ready. I usually have enough filling left over for like, you can put this on nachos, you can put it on a sandwich, whatever you want to do, but maybe just like one sandwich. There's not a whole lot, or you can just eat it. Next thing we're gonna do is just brush these with some olive oil. We're also gonna cut some slits in it just to let them breathe a little bit in the oven. Once we get these oiled up, we're gonna pop them in the oven for about 18 to 20 minutes until they're nice and golden brown. Make sure you cook them at 450 and just keep an eye on them because it is a high heat. We're gonna go middle rack with these. As the calzones are baking, I really like to make some marinara sauce for the side. I know that like Philly cheesesteaks and marinara sauce don't really go together, but because of like the calzone pizza component, it tastes so good together. I just heat up a little bit in the saucepan. That way you can serve it on the side. If people want to dip it, they can. I always dip mine. It's so good. That's it, we're all done with these Philly cheesesteak calzones. I hope you guys love this recipe. Let me know in the comments if you decide to make it. It is so yummy. Seriously, the perfect game day appetizer or game day meal. You can always slice them in half if you want to do like for an appetizer. Thanks so much for being here. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and make sure to subscribe for new recipes every single week. I love sharing them with you. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.